Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. This is the calm before the storm. We were supposed to have a very severe cold front moving through all the way down through the Gulf Coast, and it's actually affecting most of the United States. We're not supposed to get precipitation, but we're supposed to have hard freeze, and that's, well, I should say not typical for here, but now we've had a hard freeze 2 years in a row in 2021 and 2022. So we've moved pots and plants into the garage, and I also did something this year that I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we did purchase a portable greenhouse that I am going to heat during this super hard freeze. So oops, sorry about that. The part that I feel really bad about is all this vegetation and foliage for the Gulf fritillaries. We still have caterpillars, we still have butterflies, and this will be too cold for them. And so I'm going to look and try to bring in, see if I can get that there. There's a caterpillar. I'm going to see if trying to cut some of this. We're going to try to cover it. It's huge. But with a hard freeze, I don't even think a covering is going to necessarily help, unfortunately. So, it is a perennial, and it's supposed to come back from the ground every year, and that's what we saw last year. So, it's just trying to preserve the caterpillars and that we currently have, and of course our trellis. So this is going to be tough because the predictions are windy, which makes the wind chill worse, and then of course a hard freeze. So they're predicting 20 degrees or below, and that's pretty darn unusual for us. I'm going to pan over this way. So things like our coral honeysuckle, our phlox, and then back in here so you see we've moved all the pots, or most all, and I've moved those into the garage. And unfortunately, our firebush and Cape honeysuckle back here are very susceptible to this cold weather, unfortunately. So I have 2 wintering hummingbirds, a female ruby-throated hummingbird, and then I'm not sure if it's male or female, but it's a buff-bellied hummingbird. And both of them are overwintering here. We had them last year also, and they really enjoy the gardens every morning and, our flowers that we've had. The other thing that's been kind of cool is we came out and we took in our giant milkweed, and as you can see, our milkweed here has gotten pretty much stripped down, and believe it or not, we found about 20 to 25 caterpillars. So we've transported those, put them on the giant milkweed, and they are in our garage. And so that was a pleasant surprise that we have monarch caterpillars. And it's not unusual because the Gulf Coast near the Texas Houston area does have native butterflies. And so we've been reading about through the extension offices and the Monarch Project Watch, and it's interesting that we do have a group of native monarchs, and we see that. I mean, last December we had monarchs laying eggs and creating chrysalises, and then eclosing or emerging. And so it's pretty exciting because we pretty much have monarchs year round, and so it is important that we protect them. I am going to now go inside and show some of our monarchs in the garage. Okay, so the monarchs, interestingly, have decided, or they're totally fine with our giant milkweed. And we have got quite a few. I think we counted like 15 last night on this plant. And they are in various stages of eating, exploring, resting. I've got 3 over here on the bamboo. Oh, it's actually 4. And then I'm going to come over. We're heating our garage also because it's going to be really cold for here. I know it's not for states in our friends in the northern states, but for the Gulf Coast, this is going to be very cold. In fact, I was just in North Dakota recently visiting family in the last couple of weeks, and we hit below 0, so I do know what cold is. I grew up in the north, but down here along the Gulf Coast, we just don't get temperatures regularly like they're predicting. So I've got a couple of, they've just been munching and loving these giant milkweed, and that's what I've shared with you before. That is why I have the giant milkweed, is purely for this. So in times, sorry about the lighting in here, it's the garage. But in times like this, when I need to pull caterpillars in and protect them, whether through an enclosure, because in the summer they're getting eaten by wasps, or in the winter at a threat of freeze, and I've got some pretty good sized caterpillars. I mean, it's over 20 where they're 4 and 5 instars. And so I do have a couple of giant milkweed that are not very, this one almost touches the ceiling. This one doesn't have a lot of leaves on it, but you know, push comes to shove, it could probably sustain 2 caterpillars. So as you can see, I've got a garage full of plants that I do not want to die, especially my tropicals, my porterweeds, etc. And then this is, I started, is my passion vine, cottonleaf passion vine, that is native to this area. And I wanted to ensure that I have that. And so I have it in a pot and started. And the last thing I'm going to show you is my, not that I'm endorsing any type of product, but I did purchase 2 of these actually. These are greenhouse heaters, and I have been very happy with it so far. So I love how it is heating, and I also like the controls. Got it set for, right now it's 59 degrees in the garage, but the cold front hasn't come through yet. So anyway, thanks friends for joining me. I have my fingers crossed. I hope my plants and animals and birds can survive this yucky freeze we have coming. I hope everyone has a great day today.